Now that you've had a little bit of practice taking portraits, we're going to do some editing techniques so that you can retouch your portraits and make them look the best that they can. So we're going to start off by using our spot healing brush. Our spot healing brush is going to help us remove some of the blemishes on our subject's face. So to do this, we are going to first make a copy of this layer. You can do that by right-clicking and duplicating the layer, or I prefer the keyboard shortcut Command J, and you'll see it pops up on your screen. If you want, you can also lock the original layer, that way you can't make any edits accidentally, and I'm gonna work on the copy. Over in your toolbar, you're gonna look for the spot healing brush tool. The icon is a Band-Aid because it's a healing brush, so it will indicate what it is. We're gonna click on the spot healing tool, and I like to zoom in close as I work. I think it's easier to see what you're editing. And all you're gonna do is click and drag your spot healing brush. You can make small adjustments. Don't try to make too large of a brush or it might drag more pixels than you need. But what this brush is doing is it's basing its guesses off of the pixels around the area that you click. So if I click here to cover up a blemish, it's gonna pull pixels from the surrounding area and try to match that color. Kind of like how the clone stamp does it, but this is automatic and the clone stamp is all manual. You can adjust your brush size just like you normally would. I like to work with a slightly softer brush. It just gives it a nice smooth effect. It doesn't look overly edited. And I'm just gonna go around her portrait and try to remove some of these blemishes. If you'd like, you can remove pieces of hair. There's a piece of hair on her face if you wanted to get rid of that. And you can leave freckles on the face. Right now I'm just trying to remove some blemishes. And like I said, don't try to do a brush that's too big. Don't try to do too big of an area. Sometimes it will look a little bit too smooth where it doesn't look natural. It'll look almost like your subject is wearing a lot of makeup or they're under studio lights at a photo shoot, something like that, where it looks a little too professional. We want this to look more natural. Okay, so I could probably go in and edit a little bit more on her chin, but overall this is pretty well edited. If you want to see the before again, this is where we started, and this is the point that we're at. So a few adjustments, and they've smoothed out some of the blemishes on her face. The next thing that we're going to do is go into Camera Raw. So go under Filter in your menu, and go to Camera Raw Filter. When you open this, it's going to give you a lot of different settings that you can adjust. We're going to scroll down to the section that says Texture, Clarity, Dehaze. With texture, if we pull this to the left, you're going to see a decrease in the texture that's visible on her face. So as we pull this, you're going to see that the pores that are showing on her face are going to look reduced a little bit. We're smoothing them out slightly, but once again, we don't want to remove so much texture that it looks overly smooth. It might not look natural. If we pull it all the way to the left, you can see it starts to get a little bit fuzzy. But I might stay somewhere in, maybe in the 50s or 60s. You can adjust it as needed for your own portrait. You might not need to do a lot of editing, and that's fine too. For clarity, this will make it a little bit sharper. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of clarity. And I also like to add just a little bit of vibrance. And I'm gonna press OK. So the last thing that I'm gonna do for this edit is change the color balance slightly. When you bring up color balance, remember, pulling this bar in either direction will add more of this tone to your image. Right now, my image looks a little bit red to me on my screen, and I don't want her skin to look too red. I want it to look a little bit more neutral. So what I can do, since I'm trying to get away from the red tones, I'm gonna slide this a little bit into the cyan, and it will just help give her portrait a little more of a neutral look. So maybe I'll leave it around -10. We don't want to go too far because she might look a little bit pale. And I'm going to press OK. So once again, here's our before. a lot of visible pores. We have some blemishes. We also have a little bit of redness. And here's the after, slightly smoother, but still looking natural. So these are just a few easy steps to create a beauty edit in Photoshop.